20 years ago, I was living out my dream of being an actress and a singer in New York, and at the time, I was a swing on the national tour of Les Miserables. I've actually performed on this stage during that tour. Beautiful theater. And if you don't know what a swing is I understudied all the women, which was awesome. So I was living out my dream when I got a call from my brother Danny letting me know that our father and our brother Alberto had both been, they were both dead. They had both been murdered in our hometown of Miami. My father owned an import and export electronic goods business, and my brother Alberto worked with him and for him. And I didn't know this at the time, but business wasn't going well. So not well that one of them made some sort of shady deal, and that deal went really south. So south that one day some men came into the office and took my father and my brother into the warehouse, and then tied my father's hands behind his back and taped his mouth shut, and then they made him watch as they tortured and murdered his favorite son to death. Alberto was everybody's favorite. If you had met him too, he would have been your favorite too. And then when they were done with that business, they shot and they stabbed my father to death. So I was in a fight with my dad when he died. I wasn't speaking to him. And the day that they died, I had this overwhelming sense of, there was this voice in the back of my head that kept telling me to call him, call them both, tell them that you love them, tell them. And I was just like, no. I had my reasons, and I thought they were good ones at the time. But when I got that call, what I did first was just fall on my knees, and I screamed out loud that I didn't tell my father that I loved him. So, after they died, my life got really small. I had always been the kind of person who was like, first one on the dance floor, first one to laugh, first one to be out there, just first. After they died, I just got off the road, stopped singing, could barely leave my house. I was almost agoraphobic, and I developed, unbeknownst to myself at the time, a panic disorder, which if you've ever, I hope nobody here has ever had a panic disorder, but if you've ever had a panic disorder, you panic because you think you might panic. It's very odd. So I'm going to say something that sounds a little crazy given what I just said, but I'm really, really lucky. I have amazing friends, and they dealt with me during this time like, okay, this is a rough patch you're going through right now, but like they never lost sight of who I was, and they spoke to me, they got me out of myself, they got me out of the house, and they never lost sight of who I was. And one day, one of these friends, Sandy, she says to me, oh, you know what we should do? Whenever one of us hears the other one say, oh, I've always wanted to do X, or I've always wanted to do Y, it becomes then the other person's responsibility to make sure that we do that. And I thought, okay, I'm like barely leaving the house, that might be a good idea for me to do. So fast forward, I don't know, maybe a few months later, she says out of the blue, she says, oh, I've always wanted to skydive. Okay, skydiving. So I thought that if it was just going to be she and I that we're going to go skydiving. I was not going to skydive. And I wanted to make sure that we do, like, integrity was a big deal. Do what I say. And so I went around for a while, like, introducing, hi, my name's Anna, would you like to skydive? Hi, my name's Anna, would you like to skydive? I just figured that if I got as many people to go along that I would finally do it. So, all right, I ended up getting like 9 people to come along with us that day. So the day comes and we like pile into 2 cars. One is like a neon green Metro Geo or something like that. And the other one was this like boat of a Monte Carlo. And so we drive like 2.5 hours in the middle of New Jersey somewhere. And we get there, and the woman who's driving the Monte Carlo, the woman who has the Monte Carlo, she only has an American Express, and the place doesn't take American Express. So she's like, I'll be right back. She never comes back. And we're like freaking out because this is like, you know, way before Uber, and we were like, what are we gonna do? Oh my God, I'm freaking out. We're all like conferring like crazy people, and all of a sudden, like out of the corner of my eye, I see this beautiful man come towards us. He looks like he's 8 feet tall and 800 pounds of pure muscle. He's like this Paul Bunyan man. It's like, he's just coming over to us, and I think to myself, you eat, because he's Australian, and I think you eat Vegemite and vagina for breakfast every day. Start here. So, he's our jump master. And he gives us this like ridiculous, like, minute, 30-second demo of how to jump from a plane, which is just like, you put your foot, I can't do an Aussie accent. Like, put your foot here and do this, and then we'll put a shrimp on the Barbie, and then I'll see you up there. It's that kind of thing. So, all right, we go to, like, we put on these like onesie outfits and like goggles, and then we go to like what is an outdoor waiting room. And then we're there, and then we watch people go up and fly up, and then they fly, and then they come down to the ground, and it's great. And I start to like panic, like I start to be like, freak out a little bit. And the thing that like has me sort of like not run after the woman with the Monte Carlo is that I, like 2 things, is that first of all, everybody's flying up there and jumping, and nobody's dying. And then the other thing is that everybody, people I came with and everybody else, they, like, once they land, they have that look on their face like the wattage of their inner light has been turned up to maximum. You know that look. And I wanted that because I knew I didn't have it anymore. So finally, my name gets called, and I like walk over, only I can't feel my body. I'm just like a floating head walking over to the plane. And we get into the plane, and the plane is this ridiculously small plane. It's literally small enough where my back is to the pilot's seat and my feet are touching the back of the plane. And we're like, oh, it's claustrophobia. So we start to fly up, and I think it's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles up, and I'm like, my adrenaline's pumping in my body, and I'm like, you know, have you ever that like adrenaline feeling where you can't hear anything because the blood in your, it's like bomb, bomb, bomb in your head. And I have this really weird response to the adrenaline. I like start to sing maniacally. Les Mis songs. This one in particular. But the tigers come at night, with their voices soft as thunder, as they tear your hope apart, as they turn your dream to shame. Yeah, it's all fun and games for you now, but I sang that over and over and over again while I was up on the plane like a crazy person. So we get finally up to like the right altitude, which is like 3 miles above the earth. And we get into jump position, which is like doggy style, crouching right before the plane door thing. And he like straps himself into me, and that might have been fun at another time, but I'm about to jump from a plane. And he opens up the flap, and it's shocking because it's like freezing air that rushes in, and it's like August. It's hot down below, but it's cold up there. And I like take a peek down at the earth, and I think, I'm not jumping from this fucking plane. The hell was I thinking jumping? I'm not doing this. And I start to like, at this point, I am saying this so calmly, but at that point, I was just like, panic. I start to like, I can't. And he's in my ear like, ready? And I'm, no, I'm not just, no. And we're doing this kind of thing, right? And he's just like wrestling with me a little bit. No, he's got like 100 pounds on me. The man is huge, you know? He could have just like grabbed me and like thrown me out of the plane. But he does this amazing thing. Because I'm like, and he does this amazing thing. He just like wraps his arms around me. And he whispers in my ear like a lover. He says, I promise you, I will get you down in one piece, and I swear that you are safe with me. And what he says just like opens me up, and I start to cry, and I'm just like letting go. We're having this beautiful moment together. And I realize in that moment that like the day that my father and my brother both died, I died with them. And that I had a choice in this moment. I had a choice to either continue living the pathetic life that I had started to live since my father and my brother both had died, or I could like jump from this plane with this beautiful Aussie man strapped to my back. And I could live. So I chose to live. So then we really get into jump position, which is insane. It's 1 foot on the wing, a knee inside the plane, straddling the open air. Your earth is just, you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, let's do it. So we jump, and as we jump, we like start facing the earth, and then he turns us around, and I see the plane leave, or we're leaving the plane actually. And then we turn back around, and then we're facing the earth, and I don't know if anybody's ever gone skydiving, but the earth comes at you pretty quickly. And then we go into full like flying position, and it's so loud. You're like your lips are literally wrapped around your face. It's the air is just like, you know, and like at the time I'm just like, and I can't process this at all. I can't process. All I'm feeling is like my panic and my despair and my rage and my grief and all the missing of my father and the fact that I didn't say anything, and all that is just like going there and going there. And then just like nothing. So then he taps me on the shoulder and tells me to pull the ripcord, and so I pull the ripcord, and the parachute opens up, and it's so loud before, right? And then all of a sudden the parachute opens, and it's just silence. The kind of silence that's like thick. It does not exist here on Earth. So we float down to Earth. He tells me to bring it in, baby, and we bring it in. My friends all come over to me, and they've got their light up to maximum, and I can feel my own light up to maximum, and we just pile into that stupid neon green Metro Geo like Keystone Cops, and we don't even drive back to New York. We float back to New York, back to my life, back to figuring out how I could live my life again, one day at a time. You know, part of it is, the thing is that I had all this love to give to my father and my brother that I didn't give. And when you don't give love, it rots inside of you. So my life rotted for a little while. But when I jumped from that plane, it stopped. I started figuring out how to tell people, I love you, even when I was angry, even when I was really angry. I also told people when I was really angry. I stopped letting things rot inside of me. Thank you.